Yes, and now we're actually going to catch up with the 3 fantastic keynotes. So you're going to stay on stage with me, and I would like to welcome back Sarah and Anna. We can take our seats here. I love that you're clapping to the beat of the music, so please keep that up, by the way. How does it feel? Take a deep breath, the 3 of you.
Yeah.
How do you feel? I mean, before I have my questions, do you have any reflections on each other's speeches? A few.
First of all, this is a wonderful crowd. I am so impressed. Thank you very much for so much love.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know, and it's the first time for you. Definitely not the first time for you. You were here 2 years ago. And for you, you've been here many times as well, Anna.
Only in the crowd. Or not only, but yeah.
Here you go. But, I mean, you shared such a beautiful and such a personal story, which I think touched all of us here. But also, you are an expert in UX. You are also an expert in AI. And you're an AI ethics strategist. So I'm curious, how do you bring Eric, and how do you bring your experience with Eric into your work?
I would say the reason I'm working with the thing I'm doing is because of him. Because my whole life I've been seeing his needs, and I've been seeing what he needs. And that is a blessing, because it's only 1 year in between us, 1 year and 1 month and 2 days, to be very exact. So I've been his voice my whole life, seeing what he needs before. Also, sometimes I used it, like we have videos when I was a kid, and I saw there was more cake on the table. I said, Eric wants some more cake. Me too. So it's been, yeah. But also, the thing is, like, what I also going back to your talks as well. Like, we need help to be inclusive in tech and in the solutions we do. And the problem is that we have our biases.
Yep.
And before we know them, it's hard to fight against them. So I'm really much right now focusing on, like, making the biases as a way of, like, knowing them and making a tool of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's so important. I think as much as we like to think that we don't have our biases, every single person has unconscious biases. It's not our fault, it's a result of society. So it's important we acknowledge them and challenge them as well, for good. And I have one question. We might dig quite deep into it, but should tech foster empathy? Should we how human do we want AI to become? And how much do we want it to stay as a tech? Anyone? Sarah, would you like to take that?
Wow. I'm probably have my own biases that I still see tech as being a tool. I realize with general intelligence that we are moving in a direction where the knowledge that tech has can become contextual. But if we start talking about technology becoming empathetic, then we are talking about a new species. We're talking about conscientiousness, and that's a completely different territory. So I think, of course, experts can probably tell you that that's going to be where we're headed, but I personally think we should try not to head in that direction. This is the first technology we have that we're able to endow with decision-making power, and we need to be careful with how we do that, because if we start programming algorithms that are going to lead it into reductive decision-making, that is, for example, pretending to be empathetic, there's a major risk there between real empathy and kind of empathy by design. I'm sure you're quite familiar with this. And we really need to be able to hold that line very carefully.
Anything else you would add?
What I would say, AI is just a tool. And we can use it, of course, for good, for bad, or trying to make it more emphatic if we need it to. If we don't need it, we don't need to do it, right? So in some cases, for robots that are perhaps intended to serve people in hospitals, maybe these need to be somehow empathic. But if you need robots in a fabric, maybe they need just to do their job. So it depends where do we put these things to work. And I think, yeah, that's from what I hear from your talks, it's how important we are humans to decide what we want from this technology.
Yeah, and we just need to constantly be aware of the fact that whenever we use technology to solve especially complex problems, we are not always aware of the consequences when we're doing it. We see this even with very basic technology implementations, that unintended consequences follow. Anytime you try to solve a complex problem with a reductive solution, you create new problems that are sometimes potentially worse than the original problem you were trying to solve. So it's very important to try your best to imagine not just first order consequences of what you do with technology, but second, potentially third order consequences.
I just want to go back also to the question about the empathy, because it has different types of empathy.
Yes.
One is that I can feel myself, and also it's one that I can feel what you are feeling. And also there's the compassion part of it, that I want to help you. And of course, AI can do parts of it, but it can't feel.
No.
And also, if they're acting like it has empathy, it's someone behind it. And that is, for me, the scary part. Who is programming something that I should feel something? Do they have pure hearts? Do they share my own values that I do have? Or are they using it for their own cause? And as we know, if something is free, we are the product. And that is the thing that scares me the most. Like, we get fooled, as you said, like fooled by the fake empathy.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And I actually, just before today, Anna actually shared a video with me, which I think was so interesting, about children's development and interacting with AI and the empathy sort of repercussions that can happen. Do you maybe want to sort of...
Yeah, because like in
about that
Snapchat, for example, there is like, I don't know if you've been using it or if your children are, then you have like an AI that is a friend. And it's, of course, also, it can be your best friend. It's like, oh, you look great, have a good day, yay. But what actually friendship is the friction too, you know? And that is human, and I call it the positive friction. It gets me to move, it gets me to actually change and develop. And what that clip is talking about actually is getting more and more children being even more narcissistic, because it's all about them. And then is that going to make us grow empathy? Probably not.
And the reciprocation as well, because of any relationship, whether it's professional, friendship, or romantic, it requires effort from both sides. And so I think what it was raising was when we have children that are developing with this, and that they're always getting 100% positivity from it, they're not realizing the onus is also on them to invest in the relationship that they have in life. And Sarah, you are actually writing a book, which is called The Opposite of Noise. What is the opposite of noise? What is the concept of the book?
So the concept of the book, as I talked about in my talk, Daniel Kahneman wrote a book called Noise. My book isn't against Kahneman's work at all. In fact, very much aligned with his work, but he focuses his work on situations where variation is unwanted, and I focus my book on all the situations where variation is necessary. Actually, talking about friction, one of the key points is also realizing that there needs to be friction for growth. That's something that's completely overlooked. So again, when we optimize out messy stuff, we're actually optimizing out key ingredients for building solutions for tomorrow. So that's what the book is about.
And it's coming out, is it next year?
I have no idea. Ooh. And to be quite honest, since we're also putting words on difficulties,
yes,
I have no idea how to write a book. I've finished writing the book, but I don't know how to publish it. So if anybody has advice, I'm all ears.
There you go. Reach out. Sarah will be here all day. Someone that does know, that's sitting right next to you, actually, is Gissel, who has written this book, Artificial Era, Predictions, Problems, and Diversity in AI. I think you can see it on the camera. There you go. Now, I actually had a question when I was looking at this book. AI changes so rapidly, and I'm sure in your 24 years career within AI, it's changed so much. So when you're printing a physical book, how do you make sure that it's, you keep up to date, or you keep the information accurate? Is it a challenge?
It's a challenge, of course it's a challenge, because, for example, OpenAI was open, and now it's closed AI, because now their company, they're protecting all their IP. And I don't know, from day to night, so this happened. But of course, there are questions from 2,000 years ago that we are still interested in understanding or designing things that would help us to live better. And I think that's the dream of everybody since, I don't know, the early beginnings of humans. So we could take more time for the things we want to do and have automation for us to serve us and do the stuff we don't want to do or make it more efficient or whatever, right? So, yeah. So, but still, there are some things that are precious now. We have to take action now. And seeing this crowd here makes me so happy and so positive about the future. So it's so great to see this happening.
Woo! I think that is a beautiful way to end it. I will just ask, you're on a big stage, take advantage of it. Do you have any requests? I know you're looking for help with publishing a book. Anna, do you have any requests for the audience?
Yeah, two of my partners and I are creating this tool for biases, like checking you, making this friction in your products, and we need someone to do it with. Yeah. And also, I'm Anna Lundqvist on every platform. That was the last screen I forgot to show. But they can also see photos with Eric and so on. So, yeah.
Nice. And Gissel, this survey, do you have any other requests from the audience?
Enjoy the adventure, and let's work together to make this happen.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I think we can do another big stand-up round of applause to thank the 3 keynotes for kicking off the day.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you will be here for the whole day. So now you can relax, drop your shoulders. And you've done the speech, so now you can enjoy the party.
Mingle.
Thank you.
Thank you so
much.
Thanks,
everyone.